aqui mais romântico.
Welcome to Olympic Dispatch by Skimo Gold, the premier podcast and YouTube show for ski mountaineering interviews and race analysis. We are coming at you every day during the Olympics with exciting episodes and interviews leading up to the sprint race for Skimo on February 19th and the mixed relay on February 21st. Today's episode, we have Max Valverde. You may have seen him on Instagram at the Max Valverde. And Max has an exciting and very big and important role this year at the Olympics. He is doing analysis of Skimo for a little outlet called NBC. Yes, when you turn on NBC, when you open that Peacock app on your phone and scroll to the Skimo content, Max is the guy. He's been in the sport for a long time. In fact, Max had his own run at becoming an Olympic competitor before shifting over to the commentary side of things. He's energetic. He's interesting. One thing you'll find on this episode is our discussion of Max's short form content, particularly on Instagram. Again, the Max Valverde. It's really good stuff, and it takes a lot of skill and time to create a short portrayal of a big important story. And Max has played a big role with that in the Skimo world. So Max, thanks, and good luck with that NBC commentary. And if you're watching Max on NBC, or maybe you've already seen him and you're going back and learning about him, here's more about the guy behind that work. He's an interesting person. He's had an exciting journey. He's done a lot of cool stuff, and I think you're going to enjoy learning about Max. If you'd like to support Skimo Gold, then please support our sponsors. If you're going out and you're skiing uphill, that starts with the thing that keeps you stuck on the snow and moving on up, and that is the climbing skins. This is what I use. This is what a lot of the Olympic athletes use. Look for that pink climbing skin from Pomoka. Look also for the pink and shiny and flashy race skis from Dynafit. I'm out skiing a lot this time of year, and I'm wearing Dynafit head to toe. You should check them out as well. Another thing I do every day is use the Training Peaks platform to plan and track my own training as an endurance athlete, and more importantly, for my work as a coach. Training Peaks is the industry-leading platform. It's the only one I've used for over 10 years as an athlete and an endurance coach, and I recommend going to trainingpeaks.com/Skimo Gold. Get a free trial for athletes and coaches with Training Peaks. I also, another thing, every day, taking the creatine, Revanta creatine by NeuroReserve. I'm interested in cognition, strength, brain, and energy. I think you probably are as well. So check them out, Revanta creatine by NeuroReserve. And finally, you see it here on my cap. We're looking at the Olympics in Italy. Check out Camp, a fantastic Italian brand, also available here in the USA and other countries. They've been in Skimo and the other alpine sports since the start. They're part of the foundation of the mountain culture of the Italian Alps. Check them out, Camp. All right, folks, it's about time to roll. Here we are, Olympic Dispatch on Skimo Gold. This is me and the one and only Max Valverde. Max Valverde, welcome to Skimo Gold. I kind of want to start with a thanks, Max, a personal thanks of sorts, for getting me pumped about talking about Skimo. And that started as related to you with the U.S. Nationals around about a year ago. And you were doing the live stream for that. You were the commentator. I think that you may have also had a role in terms of setting up the camera, the studio, which was outside on the mountain on a very cold day. And I loved watching it because it seemed to me that with fairly limited resources, you put on a great product and a fun show. You know, you had a few live feeds on some folks who were skiing around on the course. It seemed that you were kind of almost running up and down the hill, filming and stuff, and it came across really well. So great job. I think that has spun off into commentary coming up here on the Olympics with NBC. So congrats on that. Going big. And again, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Really excited to be here. And yeah, I mean, I was part of the USA Skimo board. We'll go back to the whole story later, how I got involved with Skimo, but I just kind of saw that, it was this kind of sleepy thing on the internet. Like a lot of people weren't seeing it. And even people's whose family members were racing in the World Cup or I'm sorry, racing
Hmm.
for the national championship, there was nowhere to watch it. So I was like, you know what, I'll do this. So I used live producing software. I set up like 9 iPhones. I ran a Starlink. And then I commentated and live produced it. And I had these little cut sheets. So I knew every racer, their name, age, hometown, and I'd ask, them to submit something about themselves. So I had little side notes there. And then, yeah, I got in touch with NBC and they're like, yeah, we'd love for you to do it. I had to do a tryout basically. And so I had to call the Skimo test event last year. That went well. And so the rest is history. So now we're just stoked to bring the hype for Skimo. I mean, the reason I love talking about it is I just think it's such a cool sport. And whether you are a ski mountaineering enthusiast where you love the purity of team races or the individual and you hate Skimo sprint, I'm going to convince you on this podcast why the sprint is freaking awesome, why it's a great
Hmm.
entrant into the Olympics, why it's fun as hell, and why I think whether you're a ski mountaineering enthusiast or just a regular person, it's incredibly exciting. So excited to get into it with you, Travis.
Sweet. Yeah, sounds good, man. Well, let's before we do more Skimo, I think you and I both have kind of the Skimo hyper focus turned on this time of year as we record here mid January, so a few weeks before the Olympics. I'm curious about your backstory, and I think people who will see you and hear you on NBC are curious about that as well. After I saw you on that first live stream, I found you on Instagram. You had a neat campaign going on, the Dad Bod Goes Pro, where I think you were training at
Mhm.
a high level, pursuing Olympics in the Skimo. And then I also found, you've done a lot of different things, some business stuff, some entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. Give us the backstory, Max.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, I am kind of an entrepreneur. I joined my friend's startup, and long story short, we grew that to a 300-person organization. It's called Fair Harbor. It's like, whale watches, walking tours, Segway tours, downhill mountain bike rental, boat rental, dog sledding tours. We do the software for that, or we
Hmm.
did the software for that. That became the biggest in the world for that. We sold the company to Booking.com in 2018, lived in Amsterdam for 3 years. It was amazing. And then we were like, let's, my wife and I, after 3 years in Amsterdam, being the CEO of that company, we were at like 600 employees, and we're just like, all right, let's see about this place called Park City, where the mountain biking is incredible. And we fell in love. I had never even heard of ski mountaineering. I knew about backcountry skiing because I had done it once at Tuckerman's Ravine in New England, but didn't really know about it as like a sport in spandex, or I didn't know you could do it in bounds. And then a friend was like, yeah, you can go up at Park City Mountain in the morning with this special gear, and you just kind of hike up, and it's kind of fun. And, um, it's pretty chill where it was a really, really fun vibe. And then you got first tracks on the groomer on the way down. I was like, wow, this is really fun. So I started going a lot, got really into it, and then heard that it was going to be in the Olympics. I had the good fortune of, after selling the company, to kind of have relative freedom to take some time off from, you know, a traditional work environment. So I was like, yeah, what if I just, what if I'd heard about Nils van der Poel, who was, 10 years younger, but, won a
Mm,
double gold medal in speed skating, focusing on zone two training.
yeah.
And he was I
Yep.
did an Instagram reel on it. But basically he was really good at what he was a good junior speed skater, but then kind of fell off in his 20s and was kind of, okay in the world circuit. And I just started looking into, I was 38 or 39 at the time and I had a lot of time and I was like, well, what if I could put in 40 hours a week of training? And the training looked really fun because it was zone 2 stuff, and spend a lot of time mountain
Mm,
biking, spend a lot of time doing ski mountaineering and backcountry skiing so I explored all of the Wasatch and was just, farting around for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, just putting in, you know, good
nice.
20 plus hours a week. And in the national championships, I got like 12th in the country at like age 39. Um, Almost passed away at the top transition. I barely remember it. Uh, and so then I just started thinking
Yep.
like, okay, I have a big body. I played fullback in football. I could dunk in high school. And I just thought that like maybe
Mm,
my power could get me up that mountain. But the thing is like it's better to have a little body or not so much weight to motor up this thing.
mhm,
So I started seeing that like the chances of actually succeeding in that pursuit to make those single spot that Cam has was slim, and I felt that my skills were better suited to bring the hype for ski mountaineering. So I joined the board of USA Skimo and kind of have been like a hype man. And some of my videos I think total have gotten, I think, in 10 plus million views. And a lot of people I see out there will like recognize me and they'll say, "Hey, aren't you that Skimo guy? Like because of you, I'm into Skimo." And kind of similar to what you were saying, like
yeah.
so I think that's my role with ski mountaineering is I'm super jazzed about it. I think it's so cool. I think the fact that even the sprint, the fact that it is so hard having done it that you got to find something for 3 minutes where you are just sprinting up the height of, the Statue of Liberty torch, basically, just motoring up there.
Yep.
And while you're doing that, you can barely breathe. I don't even remember the top transition. And you have to do this pretty technical transition before you can come down. And, a lot of people on the internet will say, like, oh, this seems like an arbitrary sport like ski dancing or something. What's next?
Mm,
Ray gun style. But really, the way
yeah.
I love it is like, if you think about, Michael Phelps fastest in the water, Usain Bolt fastest on land, that's what the Olympics is all about. How fast are you? This is just the medium of a snowy mountain. How fast can you get up and come
Yeah.
down? So imagine there was
Yeah.
a diabetic that needed insulin that was at the top of this mountain. The fastest in the United States is Cam Smith and Anna Gibson. Go get your ass up there, get the medicine, come down, save a life. They're the fastest. That's cool to me. It's not
Yeah.
arbitrary. Whereas, some sports can feel arbitrary. This is pure. How fast can you go up and down a mountain in the snow?
I think, like, there's room for everything in Skimo. In my humble opinion, look at running. Okay, I love ultra trail running and UTMB or hard rock or whatever. That's one way to run. But does that mean that running an 800 meter on the track is not legit, or running a road marathon doesn't count? Like, these are all great ways to engage in a sport. And hey, Skimo, we got a sprint, we got a mixed relay, we got a vertical, an individual. We've got, epic ultra distance events like the Grand Traverse or the PDG, and then you got things in between like Piramenta. It's all good, and who knows? Look at 4 years from now or 8 years from now, we may see even more in the Olympics. So I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. And good job to you, Max, on that. I think it's cool to see professional pivots where, someone's going one direction and you turn a bit of a corner and, hey, here's a way to still be highly involved and highly influential in a sport that you love. So way to go. And of course, listeners, if you haven't seen Max on Instagram, do so. You'll see these great videos, fantastic editing. Do you do all that on your own, Max? It sounds
Yeah.
like you're pretty tech savvy with all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I just I edit them up on my phone in CapCut, and I have the idea for one that I'm going to try to put out. It'll probably hopefully have come out, prior to this coming out. But I get these ideas of like cool ways to capture an audience and make it cool. I just think like there's so much that can be done in the way that we present sport. Like for example,
Mm.
um, even in the Courchevel sprint that just happened, I think you know this week,
Yesterday, as we record this, yeah.
yesterday. Yeah, so January 15th. There's a new camera angle. I think it was shot with a drone that
Yes.
that is
Yeah.
strafing next to the
The
racers
overhead.
near the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks more representative of how it feels when you see it from up high or even a low camera shot. They just look silly. It doesn't
Yeah.
look cool or fast. It, but when you see that strafing shot, that to
Yeah.
me captures it, like how fast these people are running up a freaking mountain. So yeah, that's what I try to do with my content is like, if it doesn't do the sport justice, I don't put it out, which is sometimes I go through these little droughts where I don't really have anything because I'm not just going to do the latest TikTok trend. I try to put out like really inspiring, like cool content that captures the nature of what I feel when I see it.
Most of the content I've done over the years, whether it's writing books, recording podcasts, has typically been the long form article or text or interview. Um, what you're portraying to me, Max, is the art and creativity in short form. It's actually very hard to take something uh, big and important and break it down into just a short piece, an Instagram reel or a story or something. Tell us about that. Do you have any kind of philosophy or things that have helped you in terms of content creation, really capturing attention and saying something big and important, but doing so briefly?
Yeah, I mean, I always just think about the person that is going to grace me with their time to watch this silly
Right.
little piece of content I put together. Like people are busy. People take the time to open up whatever platform it is. They're going to watch something. I would want anything that I put out to be, I feel, objectively better than everything that's out there. Like, would I want to watch this more than anything else? And so if I can take
Yeah.
something that I feel like is a 30-minute documentary, 1 hour documentary, and put it into a 2-minute thing, that's good value for money for the user. They're in there and they're like, hey, what's this? I've never heard of this sport before. Okay. Is it interesting? Like, and that's why it's hard for me
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, I think the Anna Gibson, Cam Smith story at the, when, winning the mixed relay at Solitude, that's such a great story. It's a story
Yeah.
that needs to be told. And I think sometimes my style is more like a journalist. Like, what is the story? Is this newsworthy? Is this interesting to the user? Because then I can sell it hard. I will
Mm.
I need you to listen to this. This is so freaking cool. Here's why you have to listen to this. I don't know how to do it any other way. So if I can't find a good story, I have a hard time putting out any content. Um, and sometimes the stories can be very nuanced. Like I'm working on one right now in my head that's like the difference between, you know, a 6-second top double rip transition and a 9-second double rip transition. I
Mm.
have some super slow motion, like 960 frames per second stuff that I've shot. I've also at the
Yeah.
Solitude World Cup, I shot every single racer at the top during their qualifiers. So I have every racer that was at Solitude. So I was thinking of like overlaying
Yeah.
them in some sort of like double exposure ghost thing, but I haven't figured it out yet because it's not interesting enough yet. But if I can tell that story, and if I can tell it on the air during the Olympic broadcast, to convey to someone who does not understand the sport how technical that top transition is and how out of your mind tired you are at the top. Like a quick
Yeah.
sidebar, like so I think it was during the semifinals. So I made it into the semifinals in 2023, I think, or whenever I did it. And so I'm racing against, some of the top people in America. I'm elbow to elbow. I get
Yeah.
I pass people on the boot pack because I have a fast transition, but then I'm smoked at the top. I cannot even see. I don't remember being at the top. And if you know the top
Yeah.
transition, you click down your boots, you click your bindings, you reach forward, grab the skins, and you do a double rip transition, stuff them away, and go down. I was so out of my mind that I took off my skis. I had done that transition 5,000 times in the monthly, and I'd never done that. I'd done it redlined before, but something happened. I was just
Yep.
so like a psycho from exhaustion.
Yeah. I know what you're
And
saying.
so
I totally know what you're saying.
there's something so cool about that I'm gonna like look into it, but I don't think that there is another sport that is that technical and that short. Like biathlon, there's a technical nature. You're shooting a freaking gun. Um, there are sports where there's endurance. You're working hard, and then you have to do something, but not
Yep.
this fast. This is crazy
Mhm.
fast, and you got to do stuff. So there's something
Yeah.
really cool about that.
Yeah, I agree, and there are some parallels. I think of like let's say the individual medley in swimming, where it's probably a similar sort of like max effort doing four different strokes, but like you said, these transitions and doing so many transitions, it's so dynamic and so highly cognitive that there's not many parallels. And Max, and I know what you're saying. There's a difference between practicing these transitions under pressure and even in some races and in doing it when you're totally maxed out with people right next to you. And I just if anyone out there has ever been a track runner and if you get pretty fit and you run, let's say, an 800, where a fit person running an 800 or a half mile, it's almost a sprint the whole way. Imagine crossing that finish line and then having to do something highly technical and then racing downhill, at full speed around corners or around. We just saw in this Courchevel course at the bottom, there were these crazy whoop-de-doos that were extremely dangerous. And if you go too fast, you're going to fly off one and crash into the next one. And not to mention racing against other people. Yeah, it's a fantastic event. Thanks to Dina Fit and Pomoka for supporting the Skimo Gold podcast. If you're like me and you love uphill and downhill skiing, there's probably a good chance that you like summertime mountain activities as well. Hiking, running, biking, backpacking, all the good stuff. DinaFit is a great summertime brand as well. If you're looking for a light, fast, technical race shoe, consider the Alpine DNA 2. And if you're thinking about logging some miles in training and or in long and slower races, more my kind of thing, think about the Ultra DNA shoe. They also, in addition to great Skimo packs, have some excellent running vests, such as the DNA 8 vest. Summertime, wintertime, all the time. Check them out, DinaFit and Pomoka. Another question, Max, about the content creation.
Hmm.
Did you have any formal training in this kind of stuff, or did you figure it out as you did the Dad Bod Goes Pro project. What's been your journey? I think people are interested in this because many people, whether they're sort of a professional or semi-professional content creator, or they just like putting stuff on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, etc. This kind of stuff. Like people want to know how to get good at it.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, like, I've always made videos, like, since high school in the video lab with the VHS.
Nice.
um,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
just like making skits. And then when you get to modern iPhones and CapCut, I mean, the first of all, the phone that we have today with the image processor, image sensor, and everything is better than any camera that existed 10 years ago. So drop $200,000 on the best cinematic camera 10 or 15 years ago. The phone in your pocket is better than that. So the image quality is through the roof.
Mm,
So then it's like just a matter of understanding framing and this and that. I mean, anyway, let's go back to Skimo. But the best thing to do is you just copy, you find someone who does something really good that you really liked, and then just understand their pacing. Oh, they did a 45-second thing. They started with a wide shot. They went to a close shot. Okay, cool. Now let's start the story. What's the story I'm going to write? Like, you got to write the script. Is this interesting? Like, how can I get some, like, it's the same thing I think about when I'm commentating. Okay, someone's on the couch. They just turn this on. They're just turning this on.
mm.
They have no idea what these crazy spandex people are doing. I need to convey how freaking cool this is in a second. Like,
Yeah.
how can I let them know right now? And social media is just a very polished version of that. I have 3 seconds to tell them why this is the coolest thing ever, and I better hold that attention. If it's not cool, they shouldn't keep watching. It's not. It's not worth their time. It really comes from a love of like good content. Like, I love when there's a really good documentary,
Mm.
a really good story, like seeing Senna or something about that race car driver, or just like good stories. The movie Rudy. I love those good stories. So if I
Mhm.
can find good stories and then get myself excited about it, then everything else is easy. It's similar to like painting a bathroom. It's all about the prep. The painting is
Yeah.
so fast. It's prep. So finding the good story, what is that story? What is so interesting? Once I find it, I have to tell everybody about it. I'm at a Christmas party. I'm telling everybody about Cam Smith and Anna Gibson. It's just so cool. Or the
Yeah.
Anna Gibson story. Like, that story to me is so cool and interesting. I love it. It's definitely a documentary in the making. Let's see what happens, you know, at the Olympics. But
Yeah.
we got the precursor, we got the foundation for something. It's a beautiful start.
So you're right. It's all about the prep. And as I've learned a little bit about commentary, I've realized that's the case. I've been a sports fan my whole life. I especially love watching cycling and other endurance sports. And sometimes I hear these commentators pulling out these facts and this and that. And I used to think like, wow, how do they know all this stuff? And then I realized, well, it's because they did their homework. They're doing research, preparing notes, having, as you said, talking points on every single athlete, and so on and so forth. Tell us, Max, about your prep here right now. We are about a month away from the two Skimo events in the Olympics on February 19th and 21st. What are you doing to prep?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I did to prep for my tryout, and then that'll probably explain in my prep. But basically, so I got in touch with NBC, and they're like, "Yeah, do you want to call the race with? There's going to be a play-by-play, and I'll be the color commentator who, knows
Yep.
Skimo." And so, um, I prepped for, maybe 12 hours, maybe 20 hours. And it's basically, I like to look for stories. I'm looking for, first of all, they give you a cut sheet of every athlete. There's an amazing research team, at least at NBC. And so you get all this good
Yeah.
research. And so you know everybody's age, everybody's backstory. cool little tidbits, like when commentators are saying like, and Travis growing up in this town and blah blah blah, he used to love sweet
Yeah.
potatoes, he doesn't eat them anymore. Like, I don't know why I went with sweet potatoes, but all those things are
I
typically,
still eat them.
yeah, no, I love sweet potatoes, are amazing. But so yeah, there's that. But then I like to look at stories. So I got in touch with a lot of the top athletes. I had a Zoom call with Oriol Cardona Call, and a lot of the different racers, and Arno Lieta, and you know Jan Kiesler and everything, and like just chatted with a lot of them, and
Yep.
got to get their story. So it's like, okay, what are you thinking about? What do you like to think about? What do you think about the morning up? What do you think about the tread length of the boot pack at Bormio? What do you think about these banked corners? What do you think about race strategy? What do you think about pacing? So then I like get to know all the athletes and know what's in their head, and then I can start to form a story. It's like, okay, check it out. John Kistler's coming in. He's in this heat. He knows that he likes to go out fast. So what he's going to do is he's going to try to take, basically try to get in their head, play out what they're thinking. Because then there's also stuff with the sprint of like, depending on your placement, it depends on how which semifinal you're in. It also informs how much rest you get, and an extra like 4 minutes of rest.
Yep.
If someone has to race after 16 minutes, but you get 20 or 21 minutes, that's huge. So there's all these sort of little games that are good to know. And so basically I'm flying out to Stanford like a week before, and I'm not going to have, my 3 kids and, my responsibilities as a dad. So I'm just going to go full. Like when I was on Shark Tank for something that I did, and I went out without my wife a week before, and it's just, you're just in a hotel. It's like a vacation. I have 3 young kids.
Yeah.
I also run
Yep.
a sports league in Park City. So I'm very busy. I got nothing to do but just read about ski mountaineering, Skimo, for 16 hours a day, and just turn into, John Nash from A Beautiful Mind. Like so on top of the research that NBC will give me, I will just know the placements of every World Cup for the last 2 years. I'm going to know the color of their suit, because the problem is with some of these camera shots, if you don't know their kit,
It can be hard
you
to
can't
tell. Yeah.
you can't call it. And so the play-by-play person I'll be paired with is going to likely rely on numbers. So whenever they're doing close-ups, play-by-play, this is like a professional announcer who does it,
Yeah.
year round, probably. Like they're going to be so good at just the close-ups. But then whenever you're far away, like you got to be able to tell the difference between the 2 Swiss dudes, like Arno Lieta
Exactly.
and Jan Kistler. Like, and so I need to know their cadence, their gait, their step, and I know the difference between the 2 of them. And then it's like, how do you so anyways, it's just watching a lot of Skimo, understanding every single athlete, all their kits, memorizing a ton of crap, and then just like getting my little shtick, my little stuff down, like my little boom goes the dynamite, my little do you believe in miracles?
Yeah.
Get that stuff in the hopper.
Exactly. Your Jesse Diggins moment.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
The fun thing is also my wife then doesn't, because I'll be away. My wife won't need to hear me in commentator voice, because I have this commentator voice that you probably heard on the thing. But it's I'll come home after commentating for the national championships, and it's like, babe, you will not believe how good it was today. It was so much fun to be out there on the mountain. She's like, dude, you got to stop with the voice. But I can't not. It's method acting, Travis.
I love it. Do you yeah, it was, 'cause I was actually just gonna ask, do you have any history on stage as a kid, teenager, adult?
Yeah, so I used to do theater. So I did plays. Like actually I was a 3-sport, athlete, was the captain of football, basketball, tennis team, played uh, baseball and soccer growing up. So I was like a big time athlete, but then I loved singing and dancing and acting. So I took
Yep.
off winter term. I didn't play basketball my junior year and sang in the play, was like the lead in the school play. And then did like West Side Story in college and love theater, love the performing arts. I used to do stand up comedy and for like 4 or 5 years, or no, 3 or 4 years in my 20s. And so feel comfortable on stage. Also doing Shark Tank, like being on
Yeah.
that is so not scary, but like that's like pretty full on. And so everything else, also
Oh,
just being
totally.
in business and doing like sales meetings and stuff, the it's more fun than anything. Yeah.
X, this is great advice for kids. You're a dad. I'm a dad. Hopefully, we have someone who's under 18 listening to this. Guys, you never know what you're training for. Young Max on stage there or pitching the product on Shark Tank, you had no idea that you were going to be doing commentary for this, awesome niche sport on NBC. But all of that is training and skill development and getting comfortable with your presence, finding your voice, finding your cadence. It's all relevant. Are you allowed to say what were you pitching on Shark Tank and about when?
Yeah.
Do you know what season or episode if people want to find that?
You just search Morning Head. It was a product. It's a little tongue in cheek, a little bit of an innuendo in there. But it was a product to cure bedhead. I made it like kind of as a joke, fun Kickstarter while I had a full time job. And it went viral on Reddit. There's, the video stuff again, Travis. So I was like, I made a fun video. So I think, yeah, I kind of like copied the cadence of a different Kickstarter video that was successful. I'm like, okay, they're doing cuts every 4 seconds. They're doing this. They're showing product features. They're doing that. So I modeled it after that. It went viral. Shark Tank reaches out and is like, we think you'd be great. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not my life's work, but I'm not going to not go on Shark Tank. So, went on for that. Did not get a deal. And it was like a fun experience. I was in there for like an hour. And I think the statute of limitations is expired. Like I wasn't allowed to talk about it for 7 years, but contracts probably the NDA is done. But long story short, like they can edit it up however they want, and they kind of made it look worse than it is. So if it looks like I got totally hammered and they were laughing at me, they weren't laughing at me. They were laughing at the innuendo in the name of the product, Morning Head. Mark Cuban and I were
Mhm.
making everyone hysterically laugh. They had to redo Mr. Wonderful's makeup. He was crying so hard from the laughter. Cuban texts out the morning of, uh, I can't believe this is making it to air. This is quite possibly the funniest episode that's ever been. Turns out it wasn't funny how they edited it. It made it look like they were just hysterically laughing at me, but whatever. It
Okay.
was it was a fun experience. And yeah, it was great. I mean, the thing I will say, like you made me think of something, Travis, when you were saying about kids, because I run a youth sports league in town um, for 330 kids at our soccer league. It's called City League in Park City, and we're in the second week of
Nice.
basketball. We have 250 kids. Um, is that
Good
nothing is
job.
worth the end result. It's all about the
Mm.
journey, and that sounds so cliche, but like I didn't do theater or stand-up comedy to get the commentator job. You know what I mean? Like I didn't do the Dad Bod Goes Pro thing to make the Olympics. That was a fun little carrot you put at the end. I did it because I was so stoked
Mhm.
to mountain bike every day and ski every day. I did the
Mm.
theater because I
Yeah.
loved singing and dancing. Like I think that I was on my parenting podcast, Milkless. We talk a lot about like it is nothing is worth the end result. Like that's such a
Yeah.
businessy way to think about the world. So it's like everything. Like it's all just about, doing what you love in the moment and and then just having a great time doing it. I mean, and then things just happen for you. Like the whole
Yeah.
commentator thing is because I'm so stoked about the Skimo sprint. I just think it's so awesome. And so I make the
Yeah.
content like with no other agenda other than just bringing the stoke out there.
I love it.
I ramble and then
I
peter
agree,
off.
and these are
Good.
yeah, no, these are I mean, that idea, the process is the point and so forth. I mean, these are it does sound cliche, but these are concepts I think about all the time. I talk about with the athletes who I coach. It's something I'm embracing, with this Skimo Gold project. I don't know, will this ever lead to any income or substantial income, but I do know I love it and I have fun and I get to talk to awesome people, whether it's you as a commentator or Olympians or I love the team vibe. It's really good, and I also wonder if we go back. I think you and I are about the same age. Let's go to back to Max in, let's say, early 20s, where you probably didn't have a level of financial freedom to choose as much. Like, as you were building those initial business processes that did go big, tell us about that. Were you focused on a specific outcome in terms of, let's build this company and let's sell it for X? Or was it always just the same investment in the process, and we'll see where it goes? And it ended up going, to a place that gave you good financial security. Earning Peaks is the only platform I have used as an athlete and a coach for planning the training, data insights, and communication for over 10 years now. I literally look at the platform every single day. It's got so many features I love. One of them is the peaks component. As a coach, I can very quickly open an athlete's workout item, check out a graph that includes things like pace, heart rate, power output on the bike, speed, course profile, and more. And my favorite piece down at the lower right, it's what's called the peaks. And very quickly, I can click to what was the athlete's peak speed at certain intervals: 1 minute, 5 minutes, 30 seconds, 20 minutes. On the bike, I can look at their power output for those intervals. I can look at heart rate peaks over those durations. This data is extremely helpful to me in tracking progression and also in planning future workouts and training. This is absolutely stuff that you can't find on a spreadsheet, folks. And I tell you what, friends don't let friends use spreadsheets. So if you're an athlete or a coach or both like me, check out Training Peaks.
Yeah, I mean, it just has to be, is this fun? Because especially in entrepreneurship, like the chance of actually being successful is very slim, even a, best case, maybe 1 in 10. So
Mhm.
it has to be fun. And I just really liked running a sales org. So like, I love the movie. Like, so the way I got into sales was we did a play senior year called Glengarry Glen Ross. It's a David Mamet
Mhm.
play that got turned into a movie with Al Pacino and Alec Baldwin. It's an amazing, amazing movie. Um, so we did that play, and I thought sales was really cool. It was kind of like a competition, like who can, get this working. So I, went to school for mechanical engineering at Brown, and then right out of school went into 100% commission sales. My parents were like, "Cool." uh, you don't need a degree for that, and then just went into sales, and then Um, but then when I joined Fair Harbor, it was just my friend and his brother and 3 developers. And so I was like, all right, let's start this sales org. And it was just so fun. I was like pretending I was in like Boiler Room or, Wolf of Wall Street. We hired 6 employees and then I hired
Yeah.
12. And then it was 20 of us in an office. And then we kept growing. And then I hired another 30, another 40. And then we were at 300 employees in 2.5 years. And it was just like, this is
Wow.
so fun. Like if it's not fun, it's just not, nothing is, yeah, it's not worth it. Because
Mm.
then, like, you hear this stuff, like, if you're so goal oriented, then when you get there, okay, then what? you get like a quick dopamine hit, one little heroin shot
Yeah.
into the vein, and then it's like, okay,
Then you need the next thing. Yep.
so now what do I do with my life? It's over immediately. So then you're living in this like world of like unrealized dreams. So you're kind of like not in the right part of your brain for, feeling general life satisfaction. You're kind of like, eh, always, living with nervous energy, working towards a goal. And then you get your goal. Okay. You have a hole again in your heart. So it
Yep.
has to be fun.
Yeah. I love it. Max, as I think about our Olympians from the USA, Cam Smith and Anna Gibson, I hear a lot of that in talking to them, the value of presence and fun and play and adventure and joy. And by focusing on those things, often what manifests is winning. And what's cool is this is if you're focusing on those feelings and the experience, maybe you win and maybe you don't. But either way, you're not shattered, and you kind of realize you're sort of the same person, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the best mentality has to be like trying as hard as you can to win, but then somehow
Mm,
not caring whether it happens or not. Because the
yeah,
thing that is beautiful
exactly.
about sport and competition is showing up and putting it all on the line and being brave enough to do that and then possibly fail. It's not about like your self-worth is not tied up in your results. Your self-worth should be tied up in your effort. Did I do it? Did I I did it, you know? Feels good. Feels good to do
Yeah.
that. If we can redefine winning in that way. I mean, so Travis, I have some questions
Yeah.
for you. So chat with
Okay.
Cam a
Go
lot
ahead.
on this podcast. What do you think? What's your over under on Cam and Anna for mixed relay? And then are they gonna for podium chances? Like let's check the tea leaves. Let's check the crystal ball. What do you think, Travis?
I have a lot of confidence in them. I truly think that they're podium material. We anyone who watches the World Cups knows that it is a deep field and it's really, really competitive. But I think what we saw in solitude for Team USA was a jump from barely making the Olympics and maybe even not making it to actually um, being in the game. So I have a lot of faith. I also thinking of World Cups. I don't know how many World Cups Anna is going to do, but I'll lay out the prediction that if Anna does at least one vertical World Cup this winter, I think she will podium because I think that her engine, particularly going uphill, is right on par with the top women. And as we've seen, her downhill skills. I don't know if you made this video or not, but shortly before that Solitude World Cup, there was a great shot of Team USA at their training camp and
Hmm.
practicing transitions and stuff. And Anna was in one of those. And I think that was kind of a question of, okay, here's this world class runner who has a background in Nordic skiing and in alpine racing. Can she get the skills down? And just seeing that video, I was like, holy cow, she's got it down. So she's right in the game, doing that
Hmm.
at a very high level. And we saw that come out at Solitude.
Yeah, and I guess the question is, for mixed relay, is likely the U.S.'s strongest chance at a podium. I did a kind of a bit of a guerrilla math comparison, a video a couple weeks ago, just kind of looking at relating that I think that Anna and Cam had a bit of a altitude advantage, coming from
Yes.
Jackson Hole and I think Breckenridge, right? Um, so they were coming kind of down almost, or not down, but they were where they should be, whereas a lot of the Europeans were
Yeah.
coming to a higher altitude. Tried to relate it as to how much of advantage that might be. Um, Also, we didn't have some of the two strongest teams,
French
Spanish
and
team
Spanish.
and French. So, we'll see. But also it all depends on if Anna and Cam are really kind of almost changing their training, changing their bodies to be mixed relay distance focused. You
Yeah.
probably know from coaching and stuff, like
Oh,
you
they
get
they
good
are
at
they are.
you
I
get
can
good at
say
what you
for sure.
train.
Yeah.
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 So
No, they are. And that's I think Cam has been doing that for, really over the last period since, he had a couple years with big injuries, but since then, and even during that rehab, is I think when he really shifted focus to shorter, faster, more explosivity. Summer running races are shorter. So, yeah, they are absolutely laser focused on that
yeah,
discipline. I mean, even before snow was falling, Cam was doing treadmill workouts at the exact gradient of the Bormio mixed relay course, and exactly replicating that effort. So
yeah,
they're definitely
and
keyed
so
in on it. And
if Anna and Cam were doing really well at the USA Track and Field Vertical National Championship, where I think that was like a 30-minute race, maybe a 40-minute race, whatever it was. You got to think that that's what their body was best suited for. Whereas some of the European skimo racers who maybe only do skimo, maybe keep their engine tuned to the 4 or 8 minute race interval. So what I'm hoping for is that maybe Cam and Anna have more gains to gain than you know a year
yes,
round optimized Oriole Cordona Cole, such that, like, if they're going through the final phases of that metamorphosis of you know trading in parts for the 8 minute engine as opposed to the 35-40 minute engine, um that could be some more unbudgeted upsides for Anna and Cam, that they have more to gain over the next month.
yeah, there might be something to say for that. I mean, I do know Anna in particular, is a pro level 1,500-meter runner in the track, which is a same type of output, and a lot of the World Cup skiers are doing. These people are competing each other around, year round with the trail and ski stuff. But yeah, I think you're right. I think there is some room there. The altitude point is a neat one. I had an exchange with a friend after Solitude where I said, if the Olympics were in Crested Butte, Colorado, where Cam lives and trains, I'm confident Team USA would win. Lots of medals at 9,000 feet, which
Hmm.
they're not. But again, I think they could be in the game. I'll throw it back to you, Max. Predictions. Do you have any broader thoughts on the Olympics? Whether it's other it could be medalist individuals or countries in the sprint and or mixed relay, or just the broad impact of the Olympics on the sport of skimo, the USA and internationally.
Yeah, I think that what's going to be interesting is if Anna and Cam can podium in the mixed relay. I think it's going to put ski mountaineering on the map. I think they're going to get interviews on NBC. I think it's going to be on prime time, and I think it's going to be
Yep.
huge. That's my goal in going out there. While I'm commentating, there will be no video other than just like a side video. I'll be in the booth with monitors and mics on. But my goal would be
Yep.
to do, if I can convince them to do um studio segments talking about the sport, trying to bring the stoke. My biggest
Yeah.
fear was always that ski mountaineering, skimo makes it into the Olympics one time, and yeah, it just goes the way of like ski dancing or break dancing. It's like, yeah, it was a weird little sport that had a flash in the pan, as opposed to like a new sport like half pipe or big air, which is sick
Yeah.
and everyone
Skier
likes it
cross.
now.
Yep.
Yeah, skier cross, awesome.
Yeah.
Curling, people love it, you know? And I think that people can love this. I think we just I and I think Anna and Cam, not to put any more pressure on them, could be a big part of that. I think that the a lot of the times the global narrative is driven by the United States, and if there's US medal potential, that's what gets primetime coverage. I mean, in the Winter Olympics, we don't typically get a ton of medals. Um, it's a smaller Olympics than the Summer Olympics, and the U.S. I think the most gold medals they've ever got is 10. I think in the Winter Olympics, which still, I mean, that's awesome. That's a ton. But a
Yeah.
medal in the Winter Olympics in a new sport is absolutely enormous. Um, I think it's already penciled for the French Alps Winter Olympics in 4 years. I think it's also
Yep.
provisionally penciled for Salt Lake. So
Utah down the street from you, Max.
yeah,
That's going to be big.
yeah, that's gonna be fun. Hopefully, we'll do it in person. Maybe they can even do the sprint on the Capitol steps. Do an urban
Yeah.
sprint, truck in some snow. Um, but yeah, I mean, if it's something interesting happens, if that's a
Yeah.
prediction, like a if something interesting happens, we have some lead changes. Somebody falls, knock on wood. Hopefully, that doesn't happen. You know, is a ski falls all the way down the mountain. Again, don't wish this on anybody, but it shows the dynamic nature of lead changes. Like there's nothing better than lead changes at transitions. Thing is, a lot of these
Yeah.
athletes, they're dialed. Their transitions are very standardized and they're the same amount of time always. With that said, Olympic jitters, you never know. Someone could show up, first skin to boot transition, boom, misses their little loophole or doesn't clip it properly up top and the ski falls off. Like this type of stuff could be very interesting. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to be dependent on like how good of a story there is.
Well, Max, I know you got to roll. Thanks for joining us. We are all looking forward to hearing your Max Valverde commentator voice on NBC for the Olympics. Everyone knows where to find that, NBC and Peacock. Where else? Instagram is the Max Valverde. The podcast, Milkless. Anywhere else you want people to look out for your stuff, Max, before,
Yeah,
during, or
no,
after the Olympics?
that's great. Yeah, that's it. Just mostly Instagram and TikTok on the Max Valverde, and I do try to make some fun, cool, you know, Skimo Olympic themed content to bring the hype and convey a 1 hour documentary into 1 minute.
All right. Thanks, Max. Hey, all, thanks a bunch for listening to Olympic Dispatch by Skimo Gold. Thanks to Max for joining us. Check him out on Instagram at the Max Valverde. Check him out also on NBC and Peacock, providing that sport specific analysis for ski mountaineering. Again, those races in the Olympics this year, February 19th and 21st. We are going to keep coming at you every day until then with episodes letting you know more about the competitors and the sport and everything that goes into it, including coming up very soon here, an interview with Spain's Oriol Cardona Cole. This guy is on a tear. He's the current world champion in the sprint race. He's been on the podium this year already in the World Cups. He is one of the favorites for the gold medal. And boy, I love talking to Oriol. He's a good dude. He's low key. He's hardworking. He's fun. He's someone who you want to be a fan of. So I think you're gonna enjoy learning more about one of the gold medal favorites, Oriol Cardona Cole. Please consider supporting our podcast. Rate, review, subscribe, share these episodes with friends. We could really use your support in building this thing. And another way you can support this podcast is by supporting our partners. DinaFit. I've told you every day I wear their stuff head to toe, and you can look for it on some of the World Cup and Olympian athletes out there. Look for a DinaFit helmet kind of like this that's black and white. That's an easy way to find them. Look for a green backpack that many of them are wearing out there, and maybe look online to see what athletes are wearing Dynafit, both on skis and of course out on the trails in trail running in the summer. Thanks also to Pomoka Skins, the daily driver of so many ski mountaineers out there, including me. Thanks to Training Peaks. This is the only platform I use for endurance coaching and for planning my own training. I love their metrics and analysis. And just as importantly, I love their communication capabilities that really allow me to stay in touch with athletes, to personalize the experience, and, not only to have the science that's generated by those industry leading insights and metrics, but just as importantly, the art and the connection, in the human touch. Like all of that for me happens within one platform of Training Peaks. I encourage you to go to trainingpeaks.com/Skimo Gold, get a free trial as an athlete or coach, and start using it every day. Explore those features, and I'm quite confident that you'll be hooked on it quickly. Friends don't let friends. Use Spreadsheet, folks. Thanks to Revanta Creatine by Neuro Reserve. Boy, all of these episodes are a lot of work. For me, sometimes I feel like I'm running a little thin. Revanta Creatine is one of the tools in my box to help with energy and cognitive function, in the short term, but also in the long term. And finally, please check out Camp, fantastic small company based in the Italian mountains, making top end gear for ski mountaineering, trail running, and especially the alpinism, ice climbing, those kind of things. You want high end ice and rock tools. Check out Camp. All right, folks, we will be back tomorrow yet again. Thanks, as always, to our fantastic production team, Palm Tree Podco, cranking out the details, helping me out with the social media and the video and everything else. If you're thinking about hosting a podcast, or if you already do, check them out, palmtreepodco.com. All right, folks. Have a good one. Keep watching the Olympics. Keep counting those days till the Skimo races come. We will be back at you tomorrow on Olympic Dispatch by Skimo Gold.